Okay, so I want to talk to you today about retinal arteriolar tortuosity, which I'm sure you see in your office. So it's not that unusual. Usually the patient comes in, you look at it and you say, well, that's interesting, and you move on to the next patient. You're busy. There are a few cases in the literature of familial retinal arterial tortuosity, but it is rare. So let me tell you about this family that presented. 4 of them came into my office. The patient came in because of a small hemorrhage noted in her daughter's eye of uncertain etiology, and she told me that they all had been worked up for intracranial hypertension, pseudotumor cerebri, and it was unclear if they had that. None of them had ocular symptoms at this point. So I looked at the mother, 47 years old, and I hope you can see that there's a lot of retinal arterial tortuosity there. Here's the other eye, and there's also blurring of the disc margins, explaining the thought of intracranial hypertension. Here, the daughter came in the same day and had the same arterial tortuosity and blurred disc margins, and she had one little hemorrhage there. Notice the disc, it's pretty impressive. Another daughter came in the same day and had the same arterial tortuosity, no symptoms. I began to get interested in this family, and she told me that one of these daughters had had hematuria since age 5, and they really weren't sure what it was from. Okay, I examined the brother. He was fine with a normal fundus. So then the history progressed, and this emphasizes the importance of getting a good history. She said, you know, the strange thing in my family is that I have 2 uncles and an aunt that died of ruptured intracranial aneurysms, and maybe it had inflammation of the blood vessels in the brain. So here's the pedigree, and we have the mother and the 3 involved daughters, and all these guys up here that died relatively young. Okay. So now I got really interested in the family, and it turns out that this has been described as an eye finding of a systemic syndrome. This was in the New England Journal of Medicine. It's a mutation in the collagen gene, collagen 4A1, and it produces hereditary angiopathy, nephropathy, accounting for the daughter, aneurysms, accounting for the deaths, and muscle cramps. And so the findings are brain aneurysms, hereditary nephropathy. They all have retinal arterial tortuosity. And all the cases in the literature of familial retinal arterial tortuosity probably have this, occasional hemorrhages and cramps. And our new observation was pseudopapilledema in these patients. So the New England Journal of Medicine, there were 3 families. They all had retinal arterial tortuosity, characteristically. And then in the neurologic literature and the renal literature, this is well described. So when you have a patient that has isolated familial retinal arterial tortuosity, doesn't matter what you're examining them for, you need to ask about stroke or renal disease, family history of stroke or renal problems, and look, if you're suspecting something, look for family members, and then it's easy to do the collagen 4A1 testing if you get that far. It's called HANAC, hereditary angiopathy, nephropathy, aneurysms, and cramps. The new finding is the blurred disc margins. Thank you.